Welcome to GridironSteady. This is GridironSteady Week 3 recap. This video is sponsored by SportsSteady TV. Head over to youtube.com/SportsSteadyTV and subscribe to SportsSteady TV for all your sports. Now, so NFL Week 3, I mean, the first 2 weeks was all right. You know, a couple teams are struggling, but Week 3 was, I tell you, it's going to be a week to remember. So, we started off with Thursday night football, right? Thursday night, Giants, 49ers, and the Giants continue to struggle. They went out to Santa Clara. 49ers now 3-0 on the season, and the 49ers beating the Giants for the 13th straight time. So that kicked off Thursday night in the NFL with that. So Daniel Jones, again, 22 of 32, 137 yards. He struggles, 2 sacks. The guy's not good. I kind of talked about this over on SportsSteady Live the other night. The thing is, the Giants are in trouble. No Saquon Barkley. The Giants are not going to win many games. And they proved it then. But the 49ers, how about those 49ers? 3-0. Right? They were the first 3-0 team. Brock Purdy, 300 yards. 2 touchdowns. I might have to start coming around and giving this guy some respect. I gave him a hard time. I was like, look, I'm not sold. The guy has a very short career, early success. So at some point, you're going to have to struggle, right? But the guy's on a roll right now. He seems like he's getting better and better every week. So that's that. Christian McCaffrey, of course, is a stud in his own outright. So San Francisco now 3-0 on the season. And I'll tell you what, guys. San Francisco, are they the best team in football? That's the question that people are going to ask. Third downs, Giants 3 for 12. Not going to win in the NFL on that. San Francisco 9 of 16 on third down. Third down efficiency is very key in the NFL. If you can't convert on third downs, you will lose most of the time. The rushing attack for the 49ers were there. 141 yards on the ground to the Giants 29 yards. So definitely missing Saquon Barkley in that department. Giants had 150 total yards all night. So the San Francisco nearly had more rushing yards than the New York Giants total yards. Nearly like 141 rushing yards for 49ers, 150 total yards of offense for the New York Giants. You know, wow. So that was that. So that's that. Let's move on to the Sunday games. Sunday games kicked off those 1 o'clock games. They got ugly. Things got ugly real early out there in some of the games. Oh, man, my screen is freezing. God damn it. Oh, here we go. It always waits until I get ready to... Okay, here we go. So, we had the Patriots and Jets kicked off one early game. And Patriots are struggling. Well, for a lot of portions of that game, they struggled. But they extended their winning streak against the Jets. They beat the Jets for the 15th straight time. So we've seen a lot of winning streaks continue in Week 3, right? San Francisco 13 times over the Giants. Patriots 15 straight over the New York Jets. 15 straight. Pretty impressive. Patriots did save their season, though. They saved their chance in the division, because this is a division win. Also 1-2 on the season. But there's still some issues in New England. I saw some of the passes that were thrown from Mac Jones and the receivers. They just not catching the ball. Mac 15-29, 201 yards, a touchdown. Zach Wilson 18-36. He's awful. But we did get a bright spot. I talked about this before week 3. I said the Patriots need to establish the run, and they did. Ezekiel Elliott, 16 carries for 80 yards, 5.0 yards a carry. That's exactly what you need from Ezekiel Elliott. Now, you're not going to get that every single week, but we called out Ezekiel Elliott. We sure did. We said, Ezekiel Elliott, you need that, because he was averaging like two yards a carry, I think, in the previous games. He wasn't doing jack. So, Ezekiel on the board. That's a bright spot for New England. Establishing the run, because you can't have Mac Jones throwing the ball 45 times. He throws the ball 29 times. Good enough. Don't turn the ball over. Throw the ball 29 times, 15-29. You know, is that great? No. You like him to be a little bit more efficient, but a lot of those passes, those receivers, they just can't catch. They can't catch a cold for some reason. But keep it between 30 to 35 the most. And the Patriots are going to be in game, especially if they get the run game going. And establishing the run was important, especially against the Jets, because the Jets, they do have a good defensive front. So the fact that New England was able to run against them, that is a good sign that the Patriots will be able to establish a run against most of the NFL and the rest of their schedule. Because the Jets, even though the Jets are Jets sucks, they do have a pretty good front 7. Third downs, the story again in this game. New England 8 for 19, 50% on third downs. Not 50%, sorry. Below 50%, but they were better than the Jets, who were 2 for 14 on third downs. So both teams not great on third downs, but New England was better, a lot better, and that's why they got the edge. Rushing yards, 157-38 for the Jets. Jets couldn't run anywhere. And all night, the Patriots were putting pressure on Zach Wilson. Patriots had more rushing yards than the Jets had total passing yards. And almost total yards altogether. It's amazing that this was only a 5-point game, because statistically, the stats would tell you that this game should have been a lot more out of, the fact that the Jets still had a chance to win this game is not a great sign for New England. You get what I'm saying? Because New England dominated the rushing attack. They were better in the passing game slightly. Total yards, almost 200 more yards. They had 3 sacks. They didn't turn the ball over, right? So you get all those things, but you only win by 5 points. So there are, like I said, positives. Ezekiel Elliott was able to get the rush going. Negatives, you only won by 5 points. You probably should have beaten the Jets by at least double digits. Dalvin Cook struggled today. 8 for 18, 2.3 yards a carry. So like I said, Patriots front was, I think the Patriots defense was really good, and that was a big sign for New England. The key safety in the fourth quarter, Matthew Judon, was a big important piece there as the Patriots defense clinched the victory. And the Patriots defense is going to carry the Patriots for most of the season, right? You're going to see it. You're going to see the defense and the run game is going to have to pretty much carry the season, because for some reason these receivers are so out of whack. After Hunter Henry has 8 catches on 9 targets, so I think last week or a couple weeks back, this week Hunter Henry's 2 catches, 17 yards. So for some reason, on 5 targets, right? I think, and what about Juju? Juju, 3 targets, 1 catch. So you gotta wonder what's going on here. No one's been able to define themselves as the number one receiver or number one or 1A in this New England offense. You gotta wonder what's going on with that, to be honest. You gotta wonder what's going on. But we'll keep an eye on that. We will keep an eye on that and see what happens moving forward. So, Patriots 15-10 over the Jets. Let's talk about the LA Chargers. This was a game this was a must-win for both teams, but more so for the Chargers. They needed this victory probably more than any other team in football. Maybe outside of the Bengals, who were also 0-2 going into week 3. And possibly, they needed this victory big time. And they got it done. It had to come down to the wire, though. It did. So, but the Chargers pulled it out, and Justin Herbert had to be almost impossible. 40 of 47, 405 yards, 3 touchdowns for Justin Herbert. I mean, this was like clutch. 400. I mean, this guy had to be almost perfect. Now, he did have a fumble, but he had to be pretty much perfect because the rushing attack was non-existent. And that's when you don't have Austin Heckler, right? When you don't have Heckler in the lineup, you're going to struggle to run the ball. The leading rusher was Joshua Kelly, 11 carries for 12 yards, 1.1 yard a carry. Justin Herbert had 2 for 11 yards. That was so Kelly couldn't get nothing going on the ground, so Herbert had to carry the team offensively by himself. Keating, not by himself, but Keenan Allen had a big game. 20 targets. So out of the 47 passes that Herbert thrown, 20 of those went to Keenan Allen. Keenan caught 18 for 215 yards. Mike Williams also had, who's had a knee ACL, 7 catches, 121 yards. So the receivers for LA carried a load for the Vikings. Kirk Cousins 32 of 50 for 367 yards, 4 sacks. We knew this would be some sort of a shootout to some degree. Justin Jefferson for the Vikings, 7 catches for 149 yards. He continues to be one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver in football. Well, I think Chase might have something to say about that, and we'll get to that in a minute. So Vikings now 0-3 with all that talent on offense. You wonder what's going to happen. I heard some people talk about teams should call the Vikings for Kirk Cousins, because if the Vikings are out 0-3 now, their playoff hopes are pretty much, you go 0-3, you know what happens. It's like a 1% chance that you can win your division. It's almost impossible. I think only one team made the playoffs after going since 2002, after starting the season 0-3. So your season could be over. I think it's safe to say the Vikings season is over as far as like playoffs. But they do play in the AFC North. And while the Packers were pretty solid, we'll get to them in a second, the Bears are struggling right now, and the Lions seem to be the class of the division. So the Vikings, what kind of chance do they have? I don't know. So that's the final there. Chargers 28, Vikings 24. Vikings 0-3. Buffalo Bills and the Washington Commanders. Bills put on a beatdown with the Commanders. I thought the game would be a little bit close. We had the Bills winning, of course. Washington's just out of their element here. They was trying to go 3-0. It didn't happen. As Josh Allen, who ran for a TD, threw for 1 TD, and Allen didn't really have a great game. He wasn't great at all. He was just solid, right? 3 carries, 46 yards. He threw for 218 yards. I mean, that's not great. That's what, he's supposed to be an elite quarterback. But he did what he had to do to win. And you look at Josh Allen's numbers, you wouldn't think that the game was the score that it was. 37-3. But we know that the Bills defense stepped up big. Without defensive coordinator Leslie Frazier, who's out, this team has been able to take advantage of their opponents. Commanders struggled. Sam Howell, 19-29, 170 yards. He threw 4 picks. He was sacked 9 times. Whew. I mean, the Buffalo Bills defense pretty much carried the Bills to victory. Sam Howell was just awful. God, he was terrible. You almost got to feel bad for Scary Terry over there, who had 6 catches for 41 yards. He caught all his passes, 6 for 6. So we'll keep an eye on the Washington Commanders moving forward. One of the better games of the early 1 o'clock games, Saints and Packers, that came down to the wire. Now the Saints had a 17-0 lead going into the 4th quarter, and Jordan Love at Lambeau have the Green Bay Packers found their future quarterback, their franchise quarterback. Will Love give the Packers another 10-12 years as a starter? I mean, Kevin Love. Jordan Love, impressive comeback. I mean, you got to give the kid a credit. You got to give him credit. He brought the team back, rallied the troops. 18 straight points in the 4th quarter to lead Green Bay to victory. 18. Now, Derek Carr left the game, and Jameis Winston took over. Turnover Winston. And Winston tried to hold the lead. Couldn't. He just couldn't hold the lead. And Green Bay came back and won. So we'll see what happens with New Orleans in their quarterback situation with Derek Carr. Jordan Love, 22 of 44, 259 yards, a touchdown, a pick, a sack. He also had 9 carries for 39 yards in the game. He had a rushing TD as well. He led the comeback. Now, he wasn't great, so he gets credit for that, of course. He was the team's leading rusher as well. So overall, he did his job. You got to give him credit for that. A young kid coming back at home, being down, where the fans was probably booing him. Take some stones to do that. So the Packers, 18-17 winners over the Saints. Now down in Detroit, in the Motor City, the Falcons was trying to go 3-0. One of the early surprise teams in the NFC, but they took on Detroit, the team who we got being the best team record-wise in the NFC this year. At least tied for the best record in the NFC. Jared Goff threw and ran for touchdowns in this game. Desmond Ridder got riddered. He got ridiculed by the Lions defense. He was sacked 7 times in this game. 7 times. He got a reality check real quick. As those Lions were hungry and they were hunting Ridder. Bijan Robinson, the star-studded rookie running back, who everyone was dubbing the best running back in football last week. 10 rushes for 33 yards. And so he got his rookie wake-up call against this Lions defense. Now, this is pretty impressive because we talk about Detroit Lions. We don't really go on about their defense, right? It's usually their offense. But now the Lions can get that defense consistently going. The Lions can be dangerous, guys. I'm telling you right now. So Detroit Lions, Jared Goff, 22 of 33, 243 yards. Touchdown, he did throw a pick. Gibbs, 17 rushes for 80 yards. For the receivers, you had St. Brown, 9 for 102 on 12 targets. And Laporta had 8 receptions for 84 yards on 11 targets. So the offense was pretty good as well. So Detroit 2-1 for those Detroit Lions. Currently second in the NFC North. Let's go over to the Tennessee Titans. They went down to Cleveland, or up to Cleveland. Take on the Browns. We liked the Browns in this game, and they delivered. 27-3 blowout. Tennessee now 1-2, bottom of the AFC South, while the Browns are third in the AFC North at 2-1. How about Myles Garrett and that Cleveland defense? I saw that one play where Myles Garrett sacked, and while he pretty much slammed the offensive lineman from the Tennessee Titans was still holding on to Garrett as Garrett is sacking Tannehill. I mean, I saw that play. I think it was in the second half. That was a crazy play. It was very impressive too. So no Nick Chubb because he has a season-ending injury, but the Browns said we don't need Chubb. We're good, and they delivered. I mean, Deshaun Watson, 27-33, 289, 2 touchdowns. He was sacked 3 times. He had 4 carries for 16 yards, 123.4 QB rating. Now, Jerome Ford did not produce much. Ford was really good last week. Ford, 10 carries for 18 yards. So, and I believe they signed Kareem Hunt. Hunt did make his debut. He had 5 carries for 13 yards. So they're still going to try to figure out who's going to be number 1 back while Chubbs is gone. Amari Cooper, 7 receptions for 116 yards. And Peoples-Jones was making some big catches. He was making some clutch catches. He only had 3 catches for 49 yards on 4 targets, but those are some impressive catches he was making. A couple of them got called back too, if I'm not mistaken. Moore had 9 receptions, 49 yards. So they spread the offense out. A bunch of guys was catching the ball out of the backfield too. So Deshaun Watson getting it done for the Cleveland Browns. And the Titans struggle. What did DeAndre Hopkins do here for fantasy purposes? Hopkins had 3 catches for 48 yards on 7 targets. Derrick Henry, 11 rushes for 20 yards. He didn't do jack squat. You can't run the ball. If Derrick Henry's not getting nothing, you guys ain't got no chance. Sorry, Tennessee. You're not going to be good. Now, the Houston Texans. The Texans went down to Jacksonville. Now, this game was one of my disappointing games. I was very, very upset with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, last week, we thought, okay, you play tough. If you can win that game at home against the Chiefs, that'll be good. You let the league know you're serious. But they lost. It wasn't that bad. They lost. So I was like, okay. But now, following it up, coming back at home, you're taking on the Texans. You're like, okay, this is your chance to get back in the win column, right? Texans is going to come to your house. You're going to blow them out. You're going to beat the snot out of them. That's what we thought. You're 9-point favorites at home. On our board, you're 9-point favorites. I know the spread went up and down. But then you turn around, you get blown out. I'm looking at the screen. I'm flipping over to the... I'm watching Red Zone. First, I was watching a regular game. I was watching Pats, Jets a little bit. I was, going back and forth. Then I turned on Red Zone. They went to the Jacksonville. I was like, what the hell? Texans is up. Texas is beating the crap out of them. It was like 17-0 at one point. First half. I was like, what the hell? I was like, no, this can't be right. This can't be right. Maybe the screen was messed up. Maybe there was some kind of... Maybe I had to hit it a little bit. Had to, maybe the antenna wasn't working. I don't know. Maybe the screen was hacked. Texas winning at Jacksonville? So, Jacksonville ended up losing the game and losing by 20. And now they're 1-2. So the question is, are the Jaguars overrated? Did we overrate the Jaguars? Right? Did we overrate them? Because, like I said, it's one thing losing to Kansas City, who look like they're getting ready to go on a run. But to turn it back around at home and then get blown out by the Houston Texans, pretty disappointing, to be honest. And rookie quarterback putting it on you like that, I don't know. I really don't know. Trevor Lawrence, what's the deal? 27 of 40, 279, a pick. Calvin Ridley, they spread the ball out, but they should have jumped all over the Texans. You wait to the second half to score, or you couldn't score until the second half. That ain't a good look. It's really not. So we'll see what happens with that moving forward. Now let's head down to Miami to the massacre that went down there and in South Beach. The Dolphins put a 70 spot on the Denver Donkeys. You lose in the NFL by 50. I just don't. Dolphins rout the Broncos 70-20, scoring the most points in the NFL since 1966. So they made history. And some guy named Devon Achane. I don't even know who that is. Pretty much annihilated the Denver Broncos. Whoever this guy is. 18 rushes for 203 yards. 203 yards. Now, who is this guy? Devon Achane. He's from Missouri City, Texas. He's 5'9", 188 pounds, out of Texas A&M. So 5'9", 188 pound running back, a 21-year-old, put up 200 yards, 200 rushing yards on the Denver Donkeys. Now, how was that possible? Well, when you got a quarterback that throws for 300 yards, 23 of 26 for 4 touchdowns, and I think Tua at one point had completed his first 16 passes or 17 passes in a row. Tua is playing unbelievable football right now, right? We have to give him credit. We have to. Now, should we get excited about this? Does this mean the Dolphins are on their way to the Super Bowl? Well, last season the Dolphins also started the year 3-0, and they lost in the wild card. So, if you like to, don't get too excited for 3-0 or wait to week 4. I think that's when you can really decide if a team is for real or not. But the Dolphins put up that kind of points. And it was really hot down there too. They showed the way they got the stadium set up, where The Dolphins will have the shade because, of course, they're the home team. That's how they built their home field advantage. And the road team is just baking. Like, they're getting roasted by the sun, right? The sun is just beaming right on the away team sideline. Beaming. To the point where they had to have people holding up shade boards to cover the players because that's how hot it was down there. So you can't handle that those weather elements. That's a good home field advantage for the Dolphins down in Miami. So if they could host a playoff game down there, maybe they'll have a chance to win a playoff game. Who knows? But good for the Dolphins. I'm tongue in cheek good for the Dolphins. I mean, I hate the Dolphins, of course, but I got to give them. When the team scores 70 points, you got to give them props, right? Even if you hate them, you got to acknowledge, that's some pretty good football. That's some Madden football numbers going on there. So Donkeys are now 0-3 on the season, right? 0-3. Another struggle early on in the season for the Donkeys. They thought bringing in Sean Payton would turn Russell Wilson around. We weren't sold. We talked about this in the NFL preview show way back before the season started. We didn't think that Russell Wilson and Sean Payton would get it done. They're pretty much out of the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs. You can just end it right now. With the Chiefs and the Chargers in the same division, you go 0-3, you're done. Right? You get lucky. Maybe if you best case scenario is that they could finish third if the Raiders struggle, but Chargers and Chiefs are going to be 1-2 without a doubt. So the Broncos are done. They're just finished. I'm calling it right now. Broncos will not make the playoffs. Their season's over. And how long until Sean Payton wants to get his own QB, right? I know they just gave Russell Wilson a lot of money, but is there a way that Sean Payton will get rid of Russell Wilson? Right? I don't know. So let me see. The Colts and the Ravens. This was another good game that came down to the overtime, down to the wire. Colts are they're fighting. I thought they were going to be fighting for first place, the top pick. They're like, we're going to be competitive. Gardner Minshew, who's got the start again at quarterback. Now you're wondering if the team is realizing that, hey, we should win. We can win games with a veteran quarterback instead of going to the rookie. Maybe keep the veteran in there. Now Minshew was not great, right? He was sacked 5 times, which tells you that the offensive line is completely trash. So you rather Minshew get the beat down than your rookie quarterback, your future franchise. So that's that. But how about the rushing attack from Zach Moss? Zach Moss, 30 carries on the day for 122 yards, 4.1 per carry. So, and here's more proof on why Jim Irsay is like, hey, we're not going to give you a boatload of money, Jonathan Taylor, because your backup, Zach Moss, steps right in, gives me 30 carries for 122 yards. He's basically doing what you can do, and he's cheaper, right? So more and more cases we see around the league of these backup running backs, these second, third string running backs are filling in and getting these type of numbers. And this is a good number. These are good numbers because you did it against Baltimore, who has a pretty solid defense, right? Baltimore is a solid defensive team. And you can get a guy giving you 30 carries to 122 yards. Zach Moss, 25 years old, out of Utah. Why would you pay Jonathan Taylor the money that he's asking for. You don't have to. So that's what you're seeing right now. Michael Pittman, 9 receptions for 77 yards to lead Indianapolis. Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, 22 of 31 for 202 yards. He was sacked 4 times by the Colts defense. He did have 14 carries for 101 yards. But once again, you see Lamar Jackson, who is a running back that throws the football. But when you're more efficient as a runner than a thrower, this is why you're going to lose games. This is why the Ravens will never win or go deep in the playoffs with Lamar Jackson at quarterback. They just won't. If Lamar wants to be a running back, maybe he should line up as a running back and let the Ravens go out and get a real quarterback. You know? I'm just saying. You got the Colts coming into your house. Not a great team, but they are fighters. But you're supposed to be a team that is competing for a playoff contender, and you're only throwing for 202 yards because you want to run for 100 yards. Your dual threat is not going to get you to the promised land. It's just not. Zay Flowers, 8 catches, 48 yards. That's what you get. That's your elite receiver. I mean, Baltimore, they got a plan, huh? Okay. You just lost to the Colts. So Ravens are now 2-1, and Colts are 2-1. Both teams 2-1. Let's head out to Arizona. Oh, excuse me. I moved too fast. Let's head out to Seattle and the Sea Chickens. How about that? Panthers are now 0-3, rightfully so. They're fighting for the worst. They're probably going to get the number 1 pick, which is where they should be. They should be trying to rebuild. The Seattle Sea Chickens, sparked by Kenneth Walker III in the second half, as Seattle pulled away and beat Carolina by 10. Now, this was a close game throughout, right? Halftime, I think it was like 13-12 Carolina. Seattle in the third quarter put up 10. And then the fourth quarter, Carolina gave you 14, and then Seattle had 15. And that's what got the final score, 37-27. Seattle. So the Sea Chickens. Andy Dalton for the Panthers, he played tough. You got to give Dalton credit. He steps in for the rookie. This guy was bagging groceries 2 weeks ago. Pretty much semi-retired. I don't know if he was bagging groceries. Probably was out doing something. 34-58, 361 yards. He was sacked 3 times. He threw 2 touchdowns. He also had 2 carries for 11 yards. He played solid. He played better than many of the other losing quarterbacks. Played better than Lamar Jackson. Right? Tell you that much. Dalton's a tough guy. But you throwing the ball 58 times, you know, you're probably not going to win in the NFL, especially when you're struggling like that. Adam Thielen, 11 catches for 145 yards, former Minnesota Viking. Adam Thielen, he had on 14 targets. And so you like what you see there from Mr. Thielen. But Sea Chickens are the story here, as Geno Smith, 23 of 36 for 96 yards. He had 4 carries for -4 yards, just to throw that out there. But Kenneth Walker III, though, 18 carries for 97 yards, and which includes a 36-yard run in that game for Kenneth Walker III. And he also had 3 catches for 59 yards. Metcalf had 6 receptions for 112 yards on 8 targets. So, Sea Chickens get the win. They are now What do they reckon now? I think the Sea Chickens are now 2-1, as the Panthers are 0-3. Now we head out to Arizona, Glendale, where Josh Dobbs and James Conner gave the Cowgirls a beatdown. 12-point victory over the Cowgirls in Arizona, and this game almost looked like it was going to be Arizona from the word go. Right? They held on, and I like the fact that even when the Cowgirls tried to look like they was going to do something, Arizona says, not so fast. You're not going to beat us. We got you. So Arizona hands the Cowgirls their first loss of the year, and the Cowgirls struggled. Dak Prescott, 25 of 40, 249, a touchdown, a pick, 2 sacks. He did have 3 carries for 84 yards. 3 carries for 24 yards, excuse me, not 84 yards. that would have been crazy. Tony Pollard, 23 carries for 122 yards to lead Dallas's rushing attack. Gallup was the leading receiver, 6 for 92. And not much from the others. But it was all about Arizona, guys. All about Arizona. Josh Dobbs, 17 of 21, 189 yards. He also had 6 carries for 55 yards. So he did a little bit of everything for the Cardinals. James Conner, 14 rushes for 98 yards as well. He also had 2 receptions for 18 yards. So how about those Arizona Cardinals? Showing that they are not a pushover. Kansas City and the Bears, that got a lot of attention, not from on the field, mostly because of the person who showed up to the game. Taylor Swift was at the game in the box with Travis Kelce's mom. Now, we know about Travis Kelce, who wanted to meet Taylor Swift, or he was saying that was his crush or something like that. And Taylor Swift was at the game dressed up in Kansas City gear. Apparently her and Kelce are now dating. And Kelce also had a nice game. 7 catches, 69 yards. He scored a touchdown late in the second half. And the rumors are out that Kelce and Swift are dating. And people are not happy about that. Because some people are. Many people are happy, right? The Taylor Swift fans are happy, of course, that they're happy whatever she does. I mean, she can drink a cup of water, they'll probably clap and cheer. That's just the kind of fan base she has. It's like a cult with these musicians. Like, it's really like a cult with these entertainers and these pop stars, whether it be Swift, Nicki Minaj, Beyonce, to name a few. They have like this cultish of fan base where no matter what they do, even Kim Kardashian to a degree, like it doesn't matter where they go, what they do, they just draw so much attention. So for obvious reasons, this is a big deal, especially if this works out between her and Kelce, because this brings a lot more eyeballs to Kansas City. But we'll see. Now there were also other controversies with Travis Kelce and his selling Pfizer ads that started circulating around social media of Kelce promoting Pfizer, Big Pharma. And people were saying, was that part of the deal to date Taylor Swift, that you had to sell Big Pharma? If you do that, we can connect you. I don't know. Maybe that's a bit conspiratorial. I like a good conspiracy. Many of the conspiracies theories have come true. And I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not going to say that him dating Taylor Swift is directly linked to him and Pfizer, But of course, he sold out to Pfizer because that is just what these guys do. The corporate media, the corporate press, the corporate, the NFL, they're gonna sell that. Kelsey being a major star, the best tight end in football, they're trying to sell shots to the fan base. Now, Kelsey dating Swift gets more eyeballs because while Kelsey is great, I don't know if Kelsey brought the same amount of eyeballs as he will get now. So him selling the clock shot in front of the eyeballs of the Taylor Swift fan base, who brings even more eyeballs, it's a match made in heaven for Pfizer, of course. They like it because now they know we get to sell this to more people. And who comes with Taylor Swift? More women, young girls who potentially got mothers. And then you can bridge the gap between NFL players and men, mostly dads probably. So it is a dangerous combination when it comes to influence, if you want to go deep into that. But this is not the point of this show. Obviously, this is NFL recap, so I don't want to go too deep into that. But I will say that it's an interesting timing on the Pfizer and the couple and the rumors. It is very interesting. I'll just leave it at that. So, Chiefs 41, Bears 10. Bears are now 0-3. The Bears, who we thought would be a good team this year. We had them in the playoff. I think we had them about 10 wins. Second in the division, behind the Lions. It don't look like that's going to happen now. They're 0-3. Another 0-3 team. Look, it's safe to say the Bears may not make the playoffs. Season could be over. And that's that. Now, the Sunday night game was the Pittsburgh Steelers and the LV Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders, or Las Vegas. Steelers stepped up. They came through for us, finally. Kenny Pickett, 2 touchdown passes for the Raiders. Pickett, 16 of 28 for 235 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also had 3 carries for 11 yards in the game, 108.5 QB rating. Nigel Harris, 19 rushes for 65 yards. As Mike Tomlin and the Steelers on the road get the W in Vegas. George Pickens, 4 receptions for 75 yards to lead the receiving core for the Steelers. Vegas, Jimmy Garoppolo, 28 of 44, 324 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he was picked off 3 times. He was sacked 4 times for Jimmy G. And that is the Vikings. But Devontae Adams had a big game. 13 receptions for 172 yards. He was targeted 20 times. He had 2 touchdowns. So he's putting up his stats. Right? He's putting up his stats. He's getting his, as they say. But it ain't translating to victories, as the Raiders are now 1-2 in the AFC and second in the AFC West. Steelers 2-1. So how about the Steelers? We had the Steelers having a pretty good year as well. Monday night, we had 2 Monday night games. Eagles went down to Tampa to take on those Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were looking to go 3-0 and be one of the surprise teams in the NFL. Eagles, who many expect to end up in the Super Bowl again, was looking to go 3-0, and that's exactly what they did. They went 3-0. They thumped the Buccaneers 25-11, and Jalen Hurts, 23 of 37, 277 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks. He also had 10 carries for 28 yards as well. He was sacked. And Running back DeAndre Swift had a nice game. 16 carries, 130 yards. And that was the leading rusher. AJ Brown, not Antonio Brown. AJ Brown, 9 receptions for 131 yards on 14 targets to lead the Eagles. Now, Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield, 15-25, 146 yards, 2 sacks, a pick, and a touchdown. Rashard White, who 14 carried, 38 yards. Evans and Godwin were okay, not great. And the Buccaneers get the L. In the last game, Rams and Bengals. This was a game that we were keeping our eye on because we thought the Bengals, who were trying to avoid a 0-3 start. This is a team that we have winning the Super Bowl. How would that calf injury hold up for Joe Burrow? Burrow stepped up. Burrow made some big throws. I wasn't watching the full game. I started going in and out because I was doing other stuff. But Joe Burrow looked like he may be back. He may be back. Joe Burrow threw 49 passes, 26 of 49, 259 yards. He was sacked twice. He didn't throw for a touchdown, but there's progress. Joe Mixon, 19 for 65 on the ground. Jamal Chase, 12 receptions for 141 yards on 15 targets. So Jamal Chase was the security blanket for Joe Burrow. Now, as long as you got Chase, you in the game. Now, I seen T. Higgins. I did watch like a couple times. I remember that I saw one pass that Joe Burrow threw to Higgins. Right in his hand, he dropped it. Higgins struggled. Higgins supposed to be that number 2-ish receiver, right? Some people think that he was a 1 along with Chase. At least last year, people thought that. Higgins had 8 targets, only caught 2 passes for 21 yards. He had a bad day. He's not looking like a number 2 or even a 1B or whatever you want to call him. Maybe he looks good with Chase, but is he a true number 1? Probably not even a true number 2, to be honest. But that's what people were saying. Higgins needs to get going. He needs to get better. He needs to catch the ball. I mean, that one pass, Burrow put it right in his hand. Right there. He drops it. I was like, oh my God. Bad. But they pull out the win. The Rams struggle. Matthew Stafford, 18-33, 269. Sacked 6 times as the Bengals defense stepped up big time. He also was picked off twice in the game. And they got nothing going. Of course, the Rams got no Cooper Kupp, so you're not really surprised with that. So Wednesday we have NFL week 4 picks coming up on Wednesday. And look, guys, I will tell you we had a great week. That's all I can say. I want to save. Actually, we're doing the picks on Wednesday, so maybe I can recap the wins and losses here. So we went 13-3 last week. Or this past week. 13-3. So if you stuck out, I know the week 2 we struggled big time. We lost a lot of games in week 2. I think we went like 5-11. And you might have lost the house. You might have been sleeping on the couch. But if you followed us, if you stuck with us and you didn't run off, you won a lot of that money back this week. This was our biggest week of the year by far. So we're looking to keep that streak going. So on Wednesday, we're going to continue, which is tomorrow. either tomorrow or Thursday, early Thursday. I gotta see the schedule. We're gonna have week 4 picks. So you might want to stick around and ride this gravy train while it's still hot. You know, look, I know the wife put you on the couch. She might even put you out. But if you stuck with us, you're gonna be out of the doghouse, at least for 1 week. But anyway, that's it for our NFL Week 3 recap. And Week 4 should be now. This is the Week 4 is now coming up to the point of we hit that quarter mark of the season, and teams start to really define themselves a bit. We get to really find out who's for real, who's not, as far as like contending for playoffs and who's going to struggle more. So we'll find a lot out by this week. We'll find a lot out then. Now Thursday night, of course, is going to be Lions-Packers to kick off week 4. Thursday night. So Lions and Packers both on short weeks will get the Thursday night game. So far that spread is 1 point favorites for the Lions. So we'll see what that spread is tomorrow when we do our picks. But that's it for Gridiron Steady NFL Week 3 recap. Follow us, share, like and subscribe to the channel. Also, we're on Sports City TV on YouTube, and follow us on social media. As you can see, all the social media is up there. All right, everyone, have a good week. We'll see you tomorrow.